and she starts reading. I didn't know she could read. And she says, you know, he doesn't have to die anymore. And again, it's just one of those, oh, you know, just right to the heart from you know, what that was. And so, you know, it's stories like that that are either on the hellish side or the divine side that have fueled me. And that's one of the things I want us to do this morning is to talk about that, because those stories need to get collected. I mean, those are sacred, holy stories. Or look at it another way, they are modern parables. They are modern parables. I mean, because you know, if you look at biblical scholars who say parables are, one of the biblical scholars about parables are stories that tease the mind into active and imaginative thought. You know, and sometimes are often reversals. I mean, you can, and as you know, people will remember stories. They won't remember. You know, you'll remember these stories. You won't remember what Anne wrote or anybody wrote about me or whatever. But you'll, you know, when I go talk, people remember the stories, which is what we've got to help recapture in some ways. Because the language of community is the language of story and symbol and song. It's not the language of person-centered plans and theory. I did for a number of years a keynote that I did in a number of places was entitled "What's Your Song?" or "What's Our Song?" Which came out of a Bob Persky quote at one of the first self-advocacy conferences there ever was in New Jersey. And he was there, he was writing with a bunch of self-advocates in the band. They were all singing John Denver songs. You know, "Take Me Home, Country Mama," you know, and other kinds of songs. And he came to a conference we did in Rochester and said, you know, I just was at this conference, and if we think we're a disability movement in this country, we're the only movement in this country that's never had a song. Which was a profound thing, you know, because, you know, human rights, civil rights, miners, they all had songs. Marching songs, or, you know, songs that captured that. And so we played around for a while with sort of what's our song, and what are some of the songs that, what would you choose? And if you ask adults with intellectual disability, they'll tell you pretty quickly what their favorite songs are in music. But what's the rhythm of the system? What's the music you hear? We're so concerned about policy and practice. There's a wonderful quote from a Scottish philosopher who says, "Let anybody who wants to write a country's laws, let me write their songs." So, you know, it's just like story after story, person after person, stealing idea after stealing idea, you know, just kind of trying to continue to make connections. And then, lo and behold, you find yourself here saying, being the gray-haired old guy in this. And, you know, and this division has been my professional home, even much more so than CPE circles over the years. So, first, as I told people last night, the first few AAIDD meetings I came to, I was terrified. It was just all these big wigs and people who looked like they knew each other and didn't speak the language that I knew. The first paper that I wrote about a chaplaincy program at a UAP, and did it in a retreat. It was the same year that the university affiliate programs still met with AAID together. So my self-dissemination of that paper was to leave a stack of them on a chair, you know, so in a regular meeting. So, you know, it's, and it's, what's remarkable is that I can go back and look at that paper, and it's essentially what I'm doing now at the Bog Center. So one of the blessings of the years is when we got the chance to go to New Jersey and the Bogs, I said to the Bog Center, can we do something? And so we can give you a desk and a phone, and we'll see what happens. And other things changed, and somebody left, and I went into their role. But it's partly been over the years, people call it bridging, but you could use the biblical term of tent making. I've often had to do things on the secular side rather than the religious side, so to pay my way, or to pirate from Peter to pay Paul. And it's been in doing that one of the things that's why I encourage other people, and you know, I get letters or emails now from people saying, I'm really interested in disability ministries, I want to go into that full time, and up saying to them is there are not going to be many full-time jobs out there. You're going to have to get skills in other areas so that you can, you know, there are agencies beginning to have people with dual roles, maybe being a coordinator of community supports and congregational supports. We had one agency who had one of my students this year who got so excited by what he was doing is that they changed his job description for their coordinator of the day program they had, because they want to get the day program folks out of the building into the community. So he's now coordinator of community and congregational supports, which is the same title I have at the Bog Center. Which usually, when I get introduced to providers meetings, it comes out as Bill Gaventa, the coordinator of community and congressional supports. Which always leaves it open to the great line of, wait, I know who I can work with. You know, it's those kinds of, and I think now I'm at the point of, I just made the network of the AAIDD has just been great, both the religion division, but also with those who encourage you, where you coming into this and as we encourage others. It's been friendships with, you know, Bud Turnbull, Ann Turnbull, people early on who then younger folks have been who are now sort of giants, and you sort of say, wow, because you know, you were there. I was lucky. Rudd and Ann were at the UAP in Chapel Hill, so I remember the day they were skipping down the hall when they got engaged. So that's kind of been the journey, and I think right now, as I have suddenly become Medicare eligible, and dually eligible because I'm still on a company health plan, I think the question I'm asking myself now is, okay, now what do I need to do, but what I want to do for the rest of the time, and focus in on things. And I think it has to do more broadly with that intersection of theology and practitioners and disability, and trying to get some of this infused out into seminaries and in UCE. So that's where the latest exciting development, I think, for me is, and with Eric Carter, that we've put together this, the seeds of, and its birth and seedlings are growing on a new collaborative on religion, disability, and inclusive spiritual supports, which has meant it's now got 11 USIDs who've signed on to that, university centers, and their pledge is to work with seminaries, at least to explore with seminaries in their states ways of partnership and cross-training, because seminaries and USIDs have essentially the same core missions of training, technical assistance, research, and dissemination. You just call it different things in the seminary world. So, you know, if you all are in states where there are USIDs and or seminaries, we're not yet at the point where people can kind of come in and join if you're not kind of at a USID thing, but hopefully we'll be soon at a point where people can say, well, they're doing it, how come you can't do it? Which has been what I've done for years. This is sort of friendly competition, which is one of the community building skills, you know. Archdiocese of Newark can do it, how come Baptists can't do it? You know, so that's, we call it sharing best and model practices in the AAID. You know, in church you call it friendly competition. You know, or I do. So it's, yeah, so that, anyway, that's a bit of the history. So thank you all very much for this. I've been very blessed to have a number of recognitions come my way, which I always, in the last few years, which I always seem sort of, you know, for those of you, the rest of you know this, Chuck, you know it, but how did I get to be here? You know, so fast. And it just seems to go by faster and faster. And the whole new identity shift of becoming granddad has been the huge blessing. So anyway, thank you all.